temperatures this cold can have an impact on your vehicle.
Yeah, but the frigid temperatures can also bring a special set of concerns to those electric vehicle owners.
Every winter brings with it stories of vehicles pushed to their limits. For electric cars, those limits can become painfully obvious when temperatures plunge below freezing. Range figures published under ideal conditions suddenly shrink. Charging times stretch far beyond expectations, and owners begin to wonder if the promises of electric mobility were oversold. It isn't that EVs can't function in the cold. They certainly can, but some models have been exposed as especially vulnerable when harsh weather sets in. This isn't about criticizing the technology itself. It's about understanding where certain vehicles stumbled and what lessons emerged from those failures. Each case highlights how design decisions, battery chemistry, and real-world testing shape outcomes that marketing departments often leave unmentioned. By revisiting 9 electric vehicles that drew attention for underperforming in the cold, we can uncover why they faltered, what consumers experienced firsthand, and how the broader industry responded to these challenges. Understanding cold weather impact on EVs. Before examining specific models, it's important to grasp the underlying science. Lithium-ion batteries, the backbone of most EVs, rely on electrochemical reactions. In cold temperatures, the ions move more slowly, leading to reduced capacity and diminished power output. Cabin heating systems also place additional stress on the battery, since, unlike combustion cars, EVs don't have waste heat from engines to warm interiors efficiently. The result? Slower charging, shorter range, and a driving experience that can feel unpredictable for the unprepared. This context is essential to fairly evaluate each vehicle. Some failures were less about outright defects and more about designs that didn't anticipate the demands of northern climates. Number 9. Nissan Leaf. When the Nissan Leaf first appeared, it was a beacon of progress in the EV landscape. Affordable, widely available, and eco-friendly, it checked nearly every box for early adopters. But as many soon discovered, the Leaf came with one big weakness: winter. Its battery design lacked active thermal management, which meant cold weather sapped energy like a space heater left running in a garage. Drivers in northern climates quickly realized the car they loved in summer behaved very differently in January. Reports of 30 to 40% range drops were common, and not just anecdotal. Owners would set off on routine commutes only to see the predicted range plummet halfway through the drive. Even worse, charging the car in frigid conditions became an endurance test, with the pack sometimes refusing to replenish at anything close to normal speed. The lack of liquid cooling was no accident. Nissan made the choice deliberately to save cost and reduce complexity. Unfortunately, it ended up leaving Leaf owners feeling stranded both literally and figuratively. As competitors entered the EV market, many included battery heating systems or advanced thermal regulation as standard, showing just how crucial that technology was. Nissan eventually improved its battery chemistry and introduced better resilience, but the early stigma remained. In many ways, the Leaf's struggle became a learning experience for the entire industry. It taught automakers that climate resilience was just as important as affordability or styling. While it deserves respect as a pioneer, the Leaf also stands as a reminder that cutting-edge ideas still need to withstand the realities of real-world use. Number 8. Chevrolet Bolt EV. General Motors rolled out the Chevrolet Bolt EV with bold promises: long range, affordable pricing, and modern design. On paper, it seemed like the perfect electric car for the masses. In fair weather, it often delivered on those claims, impressing reviewers and early buyers alike. But when the thermometer dipped, the Bolt revealed its less glamorous side. Cold weather exposed two recurring frustrations. First was charging speed. Owners expecting a quick top-up found themselves waiting far longer than anticipated. In freezing temperatures, DC fast charging sometimes crawled, adding hours to road trips. Second was performance. Acceleration became noticeably sluggish in the cold, a stark contrast to the car's otherwise zippy character. These weren't catastrophic failures, but they clashed with the promise of a reliable, all-season EV. The disconnect between expectations and reality was most obvious in colder regions like Canada and Scandinavia, where winter driving is the rule rather than the exception. GM marketed the Bolt as a universally capable electric car, but those markets revealed its Achilles heel. Drivers learned quickly to budget extra time for charging stops and to lower their range expectations during sub-zero spells. The Bolt's issues highlighted a larger truth. Official efficiency ratings, including those from the EPA, are calculated in ideal conditions that don't account for the punishing effects of cold weather. While the Bolt remained a capable EV overall, its winter struggles undercut its appeal for drivers in northern climates. It demonstrated that marketing promises alone can't overcome physics, and that automakers must design with all seasons in mind if they want to win lasting loyalty. Number 7. Tesla Model 3. Tesla's Model 3 quickly became a symbol of modern EV success, mixing sleek design with cutting-edge software. It was a game-changer in many respects, but even Tesla couldn't escape the cold reality of winter. Early Model 3 owners, especially in snowy climates, voiced frustration over sharp range drops and quirky hardware behavior once the weather turned harsh. In frigid conditions, some drivers reported losing up to 40% of their estimated range, far more than they had anticipated. Compounding the issue were frozen charging ports and stiff door handles, which seemed like small annoyances until you tried opening your car with numb fingers in sub-zero temperatures. For a brand that prided itself on futuristic tech, these issues were an unflattering reminder that even the most advanced vehicles still rely on basic practicality. Tesla did what Tesla does best: respond quickly through software. Over-the-air updates introduced preconditioning features to warm both the cabin and the battery, while later models came equipped with heat pumps that dramatically improved cold weather efficiency. These fixes showcase the strength of Tesla's approach. Problems could be solved without requiring every owner to visit a service center. Still, early adopters bore the brunt of these growing pains. While many stuck with the brand due to loyalty and constant improvements, the backlash showed that no automaker, even one as dominant as Tesla, is immune to the challenges of winter driving. The Model 3's story is less about failure and more about adjustment, a reminder that technology needs real-world testing across all climates before it can truly claim perfection. Number 6. BMW i3. BMW's i3 was unlike anything else on the road when it debuted. Its futuristic design, lightweight carbon fiber body, and sustainable materials made it a bold experiment in redefining the electric car. For city driving in mild conditions, it often excelled. But once cold weather rolled in, the i3's small battery capacity became a glaring weakness. Owners quickly discovered that winter slashed their already modest range to uncomfortable levels. While EPA estimates promised respectable distances, sub-freezing temperatures often cut those numbers dramatically, leaving drivers with ranges that barely exceeded what older economy cars managed on a gallon of gas. On highways, where energy use is higher, the limitations become even more pronounced. BMW recognized this issue and offered a range extender version, equipped with a small gasoline engine to recharge the battery when needed. For buyers in colder climates, that add-on wasn't just optional, it felt essential. The range extender gave peace of mind where the battery alone couldn't deliver, especially in regions where charging infrastructure wasn't widespread. The i3's struggles weren't about flawed engineering so much as ambitious design meeting real-world conditions. Its lightweight materials, quirky styling, and urban-friendly nature made it a standout experiment, but one that proved difficult to live with outside temperate climates. For many, the i3 became a second car rather than a primary vehicle, useful for city commutes, but impractical for longer journeys in winter. Ultimately, the i3 highlighted the gap between innovation and practicality. It showed that even bold, forward-thinking cars must deliver consistent performance in every season. Cold weather turned its limitations into daily frustrations, overshadowing the brilliance of its design. It remains a fascinating chapter in EV history, though one with lessons that future designs have taken to heart. Number 5. Hyundai Kona Electric. The Hyundai Kona Electric built its reputation on affordability and a healthy driving range that outshined many rivals in its price class. It looked like the perfect recipe for widespread EV adoption, and in warmer conditions, it often delivered exactly that. But as soon as the Kona was tested in Nordic winters, its carefully crafted image began to frost over. Journalists and drivers alike reported dramatic range losses, in some cases nearly cutting the usable distance in half. For owners counting on its EPA-rated numbers, this was a rude awakening. Long-distance drives quickly turned into exercises in patience and planning, with drivers nervously eyeing the dwindling percentage on the dashboard. To make matters worse, charging reliability became a recurring complaint. CCS fast charging sessions, usually the Kona's safety net for long journeys, slowed to a crawl in sub-zero conditions. For those relying on quick top-ups during cold weather trips, the delays proved maddening. Hyundai attempted to address these concerns through software updates, particularly by improving preconditioning systems that warmed the battery before charging. While these refinements helped, early adopters still carried memories of being stranded with less range than promised. The lesson was clear. Even newer EV players underestimated just how punishing winter could be on battery performance. The Kona Electric remains a well-regarded EV overall, especially in markets with milder climates. But in the north, it became an example of how engineering for ideal conditions doesn't always translate into year-round reliability. Its struggles underscored a broader truth in the EV world. Promises of range and charging speed must survive real-world conditions, not just controlled testing environments. Number 4. Jaguar I-Pace. When Jaguar unveiled the I-Pace, it was hailed as a bold step into the EV future. A sleek crossover with sports car DNA, it brought luxury styling and impressive driving dynamics to the electric market. But winter weather has a way of humbling even the most sophisticated machines, and the I-Pace was no exception. Owners in colder regions began reporting erratic behavior, particularly when temperatures plummeted. Range estimates seemed unpredictable, with the display sometimes promising far more than the car could realistically deliver. Charging sessions, especially with DC fast chargers, often slowed dramatically. In some cases, the car outright refused to fast charge until it had warmed sufficiently. A frustrating setback for drivers who expected seamless luxury. These issues struck a nerve because the I-Pace wasn't marketed as a budget experiment. It was positioned as a premium product, with pricing to match. Customers who invested in Jaguar's EV expected consistency, not uncertainty. While the brand eventually rolled out software refinements to stabilize performance, the damage to its reputation lingered. For many, the comparison with Tesla was unavoidable, as the latter's vehicles increasingly incorporated heat pumps, battery preconditioning, and OTA improvements that made them more winter-friendly. The I-Pace demonstrated that luxury design and driving enjoyment alone aren't enough to define a successful EV. Cold weather demands rigorous preparation, and skipping those steps undermined Jaguar's ambitious leap into electrification. While it still stands as one of the most stylish EVs of its time, its chilly performance record became a reminder that elegance means little if reliability is left shivering on the roadside. Number 3. Volkswagen ID.4. The Volkswagen ID.4 marked the brand's big push into mainstream electric mobility. Spacious, family-friendly, and attractively priced, it symbolized VW's determination to reinvent itself after years of diesel controversy. But when winter arrived, the ID.4 stumbled into familiar challenges that highlighted how even seasoned automakers weren't fully prepared for the realities of cold climates. Drivers in Europe quickly noticed steep range losses, which was expected to some degree. What caught many off guard, however, was how quickly the cabin heating system drained the battery. Staying warm meant sacrificing precious kilometers, forcing owners to choose between comfort and efficiency. For a family SUV, that trade-off didn't sit well. Charging performance also drew criticism. While VW advertised respectable DC fast charging speeds, real-world tests in freezing conditions often took twice as long as expected. On long trips, this transformed charging stops into endurance tests rather than quick pit stops. Early adopters in countries like Norway, where EVs dominate, were particularly vocal, since they had already seen competitors offer better winter preparation. Volkswagen responded with incremental updates, improving software and refining thermal management. Yet the ID.4's early struggles left an impression. Legacy automakers were still learning lessons their customers expected them to have mastered. For VW, the ID.4 was supposed to usher in a new era of electric confidence, but its cold weather challenges revealed just how much ground still needed to be covered. In the end, the ID.4 served as both progress and a cautionary tale, proof that building an EV is only half the battle. Making it work flawlessly year-round is where reputations are truly won or lost. Number 2. Ford Mustang Mach-E. Ford's Mustang Mach-E carried more than just a name. It carried a legacy. With Mustang branding attached, expectations soared for performance, reliability, and boldness. For the most part, the Mach-E delivered excitement with its design and driving character, but when the chill of winter set in, cracks began to show. One recurring complaint was charging reliability. Owners reported charging stalls and unusually long wait times at public stations when temperatures dipped below freezing. Even when charging sessions did start, speeds were often slower than advertised, turning road trips into drawn-out affairs. Combined with a heating system that demanded significant power, these issues caused drivers to see ranges plummet below their already cautious winter estimates. Battery conditioning emerged as another challenge. Unlike rivals that aggressively preheated their packs before charging, the Mach-E sometimes lagged behind, making it less resilient in frigid climates. This left some owners questioning whether Ford had fully tested the car in the demanding conditions faced by markets like Canada or Scandinavia. To Ford's credit, the Mach-E continues to evolve. Software refinements and hardware tweaks are gradually improving cold weather reliability. The company appears committed to addressing weaknesses and learning from early adopters. Still, the initial stumbles served as a reminder that brand heritage alone cannot insulate a new EV from the harsh realities of climate. The Mach-E remains one of the most important steps in Ford's electrification journey, but its winter struggles highlight the gap between ambition and execution. The lessons are ongoing, and as Ford refines its strategy, drivers will be watching closely to see whether future updates turn winter weakness into true year-round strength. Number 1. Audi e-tron. The Audi e-tron entered the market with promises of German engineering and premium refinement. In moderate conditions, it delivered, but cold weather exposed a significant drawback: efficiency. Owners across Canada, Scandinavia, and northern U.S. states reported winter ranges dipping as low as 150 miles on a full charge, far below the advertised figures. The culprit was twofold: the e-tron's relatively large size and weight, paired with a battery management system that favored preserving long-term battery health over short-term performance. While this was a conservative engineering choice, customers who expected both luxury and reliability found themselves frustrated at public charging stations, waiting longer than expected for energy replenishment. Audi later made strides with the e-tron GT and Q4 e-tron, but the first-generation e-tron highlighted that even premium EVs weren't immune to the unforgiving realities of cold climates. Cold weather doesn't spell doom for electric vehicles, but it does reveal which designs were built with resilience in mind and which ones weren't. The 9 cars we've covered highlight that progress comes through trial and error, sometimes at the expense of early adopters. But those lessons continue to push the industry forward toward more reliable solutions. If you found this breakdown useful, let's keep the conversation going. Which of these EVs do you think had the hardest time in the cold, and have you personally experienced winter range loss? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. And if you want to stay updated with more deep dives like this, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. The journey of EVs in cold weather is far from over, and your engagement helps us keep shining a light on where improvements are still needed.